With every phase and stage in life, you gain certain things and you give up certain things. No matter what you choose, always make sure what you're gaining is worth what you're giving up. Hi ladies, welcome back to the Feminine Universe. I am so happy to have you here. We've been talking quite a bit about making the most of your time, whether it's the time in each day, making the most of this year, or making the most of whatever season or era of life you're currently in. So I thought this would be a great time to have a candid talk about being single, what I think every woman should know about her single era, and making the most of singleness overall. Whether you're single with hopes and plans to be married and to become a mom, or whether you feel like you'll be happily single for life, I think these are things you should all know and focus on. And for all my ladies listening who are in relationships, who are married, who are mothers, you can chime in and confirm these tips or drop in your tips that you have for the single ladies, or even just things you wish people would have told you when you were single. Now let's get started. My first tip is to enjoy the freedom. In each stage of life, you gain some things and lose others. That's just the reality. And one of the main things you sacrifice in a relationship, a marriage, or in becoming a mother is some of your freedom. You go from taking trips when and where you want to having to coordinate with your partner's vacation days or looking for kid-friendly locations, from sleeping in on weekends or attending back-to-back events on weekends to waking up early every single morning for feeding time, because babies have no understanding of weekends. Now, this isn't a bad thing, especially when you want that life and you're ready for it. But a lot of people want to approach marriage as though we're two single people living under the same roof and get surprised when that doesn't quite work. The two shall become one, remember? You become one unit, and then your kids become part of that unit. When you create a family, you're making the decision to consider someone else's feelings and needs every single day. You're trading freedom for unity, for partnership, for companionship, for inside jokes and someone to lean on when your load gets heavy, for someone to navigate life with and volley ideas with and to have new adventures with. So there are certainly beautiful things in marriage and motherhood if that's for you. But in the meantime, sleep in, take a trip on a whim, spend a day or two just relaxing in your PJs because you can. Splurge on something ridiculous that makes you happy. When you thoroughly enjoy your freedom during this time, it relieves you of any feelings of resentment or feeling trapped later on when you do have to give some of it up. So seriously, enjoy the freedom. Tip number 2 is to learn yourself and love yourself. We are going to spend some time here because this step is one of the best things you can do for yourself regardless of what path you want to take in life. I always talk about the fact that there is the woman you are raised to be, the woman you're taught to be, the woman you're influenced to be, and then finally, there's the woman you actually choose to be. Your single era is the perfect time to choose the type of woman you want to be and take the time to learn and grow into that woman. Because maybe you grew up in an environment where you were taught to be, or where you had to be aggressive and hyper independent because you couldn't rely on anyone. But now you want to be a little softer and be open to receiving and being pampered. Or maybe you were taught to be meek, mild, and self-sacrificing, maybe in a seen and not heard, do what you're told kind of situation. And now you want to find your voice, to say no, and to speak up when you need to, and to graciously accept compliments and kind gestures instead of feeling embarrassed or undeserving. This is the time to dig deep, explore, and be honest with yourself about who you currently are. Are you selfish, envious, aggressive? Are you entitled, boring, weak, lazy? Whatever it is, be honest. Then think about whoever it is you truly want to be and give yourself that time and that space to become her. to get to a place where you've done the work, where you know yourself so well and love yourself so much that whatever decision you make is going to be to enhance your life, never to detract from it. You don't want to be making permanent, life-altering decisions at your lowest point or at a confused point. A lot of the mistakes we make, especially in choosing and dealing with people, comes from a lack of self-awareness or a lack of self-love. So learn yourself and love yourself so you can make the best decisions for yourself. Tip number 3 is to treat yourself well and spoil yourself. This is going to piggyback off the last tip, but also build on it. When you know what feeling good and being happy feels like, when you're very familiar with joy and contentment, it becomes very easy to assess whether someone's presence in your life adds to that or detracts from that. If your happiness and contentment is usually around, let's say, a level 8, but with a certain friend or with a certain man, it's constantly being pulled down to a level 4 or 5 because that quote-unquote friend is always coming with the subtle shade or sideways remarks that you have to decipher. Or this man brings you this anxious and uncertain energy because sometimes he's hot and sometimes he's cold. You'll know instantly that these people aren't for you because this is not how you usually feel. This is not the baseline you've set for yourself. And you'll be happy and even prefer to be by yourself until people come into your life, platonically or romantically, that can add to it. When you're used to taking care of yourself and taking yourself to certain kinds of places and giving yourself certain kinds of experiences, when someone now wants you to tap dance, beg, and continuously prove yourself for 1/2 or even 1/3 of what you're used to giving yourself, you can let out an incredulous laugh and move on with your life. Like, excuse me? You want what? For spending $100 or $200 on a date? Sir, I spent that stocking up on shampoo and conditioner yesterday, okay? And don't misunderstand what I'm saying. It's not about the price tag itself, because we are always gracious and grateful for kind gestures around here. But it's about the expectation that comes with the price tag. Wanting to be appreciated and wanting to be worshipped are two different things. And when you do certain things for yourself on a regular basis, you are much less inclined to being pushed or being guilted into over appreciating, tap dancing, or worshiping. Tip number 4 is to build unshakable bonds. As mentioned, if you choose to marry and or have children, there will undoubtedly be times where you're not as available. You may not talk to your friends as much or have as much free time to hang out. Maybe your job or your husband's job has you moving to a new state. Your single years are the years you should be putting real work into your friendships to create the type of foundations that can withstand the moves and the babies and the periods of minimal contact. You don't want to be looking for and trying to create a support system from scratch when you're feeling vulnerable, like when you're pregnant or when you're new to a state and feeling lonely. You want to nurture your main tribe and continue to add on from there. Tip number 5 is to have achievements of your own and pursue a passion of your own. So many women define themselves by their relationship status or their motherhood status. I say this as someone who loves love and who truly believes in a strong family unit. There has to be more to life for you than just that. Being a wife or a mom can come to be your first priority at a certain stage, absolutely. But who were you before that? What were you into before that? What will you indulge in just for you when you have a little free time or when you're stressed and you need to unwind? When women don't have achievements and passions of their own, they may be inclined to super cling to their husbands in a way that can become suffocating, or to try to live vicariously through their children, pushing them to do things they don't like or aren't interested in. while single women with no achievements or passion may have a hard time being happy for friends as they move towards marriage, children, or professional achievements of their own. Now, you don't have to run for Senate or become a surgeon or anything like that, but you should have something that's yours, something that you're passionate about and that fulfills you enough that other people's successes won't feel like you're being left behind. Something where if your husband has a work trip and your kids start getting to the age that they're doing sports and activities or rather hang out with their friends, you can feel like, oh great, some extra free time for my painting or my swimming or more time to catch up with friends because I actually kept in touch with them, or time to read one of my favorite novels or work on a chapter of my own novel or try this new recipe, instead of begging to hang out with your 16-year-old and her friends or begging to tag along on your husband's all-men fishing trip because you don't know what to do with yourself outside of your family. And lastly, tip number 6 is to get real information and practice. How many women have never gotten raw insight on marriage? They still think happily ever after means smiles and rainbows every day, like the storybooks and like some celebrity or influencer couples like to project. And so they start questioning themselves the minute they have a sizable disagreement with their husband. They're already like, did I make a mistake? Are we going to make it? Girl, you're fine. It's called real life. There is not one single human being on this planet, from an identical twin to a best friend to a soulmate, that you're going to agree with 100% of the time. And getting raw insights on the fact that not only do these things happen, but also getting ideas on how to get through them is invaluable. The wisest women I know will always tell you to ask yourself if it's worth it, because you've got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Not every disagreement is worth dragging out or going to war over. How many women have a true understanding of what pregnancy can actually be like? Or how many women have never held or spent time with a baby? Now when they have their own, they think every spit up and hiccup is a reason to run to the doctor's office. Now I'm team better safe than sorry, but not knowing certain little basics will make newfound motherhood even more stressful for you. So as a single woman, use this time to observe and have raw conversations. Conversations about relationships, marriage, pregnancy, childbirth, child rearing, maybe babysit so your sister or friend can have a night out or run some errands, or just take a shower and get a nap. You'll continue to build your bond with your girlfriends, get some experience, and be able to make educated decisions about what you want for yourself. Being able to thrive, be happy, and be truly content single is the perfect primer for being in a happy, thriving relationship or living happily single for life. If you heed these tips, no matter where life takes you or what path you choose, you simply can't lose. So whether you're currently single for a season or looking forward to a happily single life, I want you to know you are not incomplete. You are a whole person right now, capable of happiness and success. Being single is okay, better than okay, and depending who you are and what phase you're in, it may be the best decision ever. Always remember that with every phase and stage in life, you gain certain things and you give up certain things. Whatever you choose, always make sure what you're gaining is worth what you're giving up. Until next time, ladies, stay feminine, stay focused, and have fun.